A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Dear students, this is the lecture recorded for topic number 6, chapter number 8 in Lucas textbook, and the title of the topic is Supporting Your Ideas. After reading this chapter, inshallah, you should be able to, number 1, explain why speakers need strong supporting materials for their ideas. Number 2, you should be able to distinguish among extended examples, brief examples, and hypothetical examples. Number 3, explain how to use examples effectively in a speech. Number 4, you should be able to identify 3 questions for judging the reliability of statistics. Number 5, discuss how to use statistics effectively in a speech. And number 6, distinguish between peer testimony and expert testimony and explain the proper use of testimony in a speech. Let us look into these 3 categories of explanation or sentences. We look at sentence number 1. Public speaking skill is important to a counselor. Let us look into sentence number 2. Public speaking skill is important to a counselor who need to communicate with clients with different demographic backgrounds. Let us look into the 3rd sentence. According to an interview with Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, which reported by Utusan Malaysia, it is estimated that in 2021, the nation will crave for counsellors with high public speaking skill in various government sectors to cater the needs of counselling among government servants across the country. According to these 3 different sentences, which sentence or which sentences that you think is more appealing, clearer, and more vivid? Which one is more inviting, giving you more ideas or more information? For sure, the 3rd sentence, isn't it? Or at least the 2nd sentence compared to the 1st sentence, which is so brief, which is so short. So how can we have a sentence with full of information or better information like sentence number 2 and 3 if we compare it with sentence number 1? So this is what we want to learn today about supporting materials. As a public speaker, our speeches need strong supporting materials to bolster, to enhance our point of view. A speech composed of unsupported assertions a speech composed of unsupported assertions or ideas may leave an audience skeptical and unconvinced. Specific and credible details are more convincing than are unsupported generalizations. So, unsupported generalizations could be described by the first sentence here. A very brief one, a very short, and without any supporting material, supporting idea, or supporting evidence. Unlike the 2nd and 3rd sentences here, so it are actually better in terms of providing supporting material. Alright. So there are 3 kinds of supporting materials. Number 1, we call it as examples. Number 2, statistics. And number 3, testimony. So these 3 kind of these 3 kind of supporting materials has its degree of relevancy, has its degree of strength in order to develop the idea to be shared with our audience. Let us look into example. Example can be the first degree of supporting material, one of the most important ones. So when we talk about example, okay, it is a specific case to illustrate or to represent ideas, a group of people, conditions, experiences, and so on. Vivid, concrete examples have a strong impact on listeners or audiences' beliefs and actions, and also their reflections towards whatever we deliver to them in our speech. No examples at most of the time will make ideas to be vague, to be impersonal, and lifeless, without ruh. While with examples, ideas become specific, it becomes personal and lively. So there are 3 types of examples according to Lucas. The first one is a brief one. Okay, brief examples are specific instances that a speaker refers to in passing to illustrate point. Number 2, the second type of examples is extended. Extended examples are longer and more detailed compared to brief examples. It's like you inserting some story, narrative, anecdote, okay, which developed at length to illustrate point. And the third one is hypothetical. Hypothetical examples describe an imaginary or fictitious situation which is not really real but can be imagined in the head of the audiences. Let us look into the explanation of these 3 types of examples. So when we talk about our today's life, the recent pandemic happened to us now, coronavirus or COVID-19 outbreak. So when we talk about COVID-19 outbreak, okay, if we have an explanation to a group of audience, if you use maybe some brief idea or brief example, it might be like this. Okay, be kind to address fear during coronavirus by showing empathy with those affected, learning about the disease to assess the risk, and adopting practical measures to stay safe. So this is very brief, very simple. Okay, in order to prevent the coronavirus, okay, to be transferred to any other persons. So this might be the 3 things, okay, that we can do in order to be kind to address fear during this coronavirus pandemic. Showing empathy, learning about the disease, and adopting practical measures. So this is very brief. What about the second way of using examples? The extended one. When we talk about COVID-19, okay, we might want to share with others about this kind of information, the extended information. For instance, patients with COVID-19 have reportedly had mild to severe respiratory illness. Symptoms can include fever, cough, or shortness of breath, and blah 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 blah. So this kind of information could be said as extended kind of example compared to the brief ones. So we look into the third kind of examples. It might be a hypothetical kind of example like this. Okay, as simple as imagining the final effect of getting COVID-19, okay, by being buried in the soil of earth, okay, with a lot of SOPs. So these 3 kind of examples has its own remarks, has its own power, has its own strength. We might need to use a brief example to several kind of different audiences. Maybe audience with brains. I mean, the educated audience. You might want to use extended kind of examples. And then when we talk about having colors into our examples, into our speech, we might want to put hypothetical ideas or examples there. So how we want to use examples effectively? According to Lucas and any other authors, there are several tips to use examples effectively. Among others, a speaker should use examples in clarifying his ideas. For example, I'm using example to clarify my ideas. Okay, for example, I want to share with my audience how to read a book effectively. So I might want to put some examples of my own experience. Okay, in my experience of reading book effectively, I'm going to read the book briefly at the beginning. Okay, and then I repeat my reading by having page by page reading, and at the third reading I'm going to glance through in order to look into main or major information, okay, so that I can remember it better. So 3 times of reading, a brief one, page by page, and then a brief one again. Okay, so this is what I call as clarifying my ideas of reading a book by giving examples. Number 2, a speaker should use examples in reinforcing ideas. To reinforce ideas, to show differences of information. So we put some examples. For instance, when we eat durian, some of the durian will come with different flavors. So I am reinforcing my ideas about the difference of flavors in durian by giving examples. Okay, for instance, musang king has some pahit kelat kind of taste. Sweet, not so pahit mau, okay, can be tasted by having maybe D2 durian or D24 and so on. So to reinforce ideas, I'm using examples. Number 3, a speaker should use examples to personalize ideas, to differentiate between different set of ideas. For example, there are several kinds of bicycles. Among the kinds of bicycles are, number 1, road bike or road bicycles. We use road bikes not to use it maybe off-road. It is only on-road, okay, on the paved work and so on. But if you want to have an experience of cycling off-road in the jungle and so on, so we can use not road bike but mountain bike. Okay, and if you want to have a leisure while cycling, we might want to have folding bike. What is folding bike? A bike that we can fold, boleh lipat, and we can bring it anywhere, easy. We can bring it into commuter, ERL and so on, because it is small when we fold it. So this is what I call as personalized ideas, to show the differences between ideas. And then number 4, a speaker should use extended examples that are vivid and richly textured. Okay, extended examples is full with information which strengthening and make things crystal clear in terms of the ideas that we try to share with our audiences. Alright. And the last one is, a speaker should practice delivery in enhancing the impact of extended examples. We have a lot of information, but if you are not having the practices in terms of using which examples is correct, which examples is suitable, so we will make that kind of speech to be messy. Okay, so when we have a practice and practice and practice in delivery, so it helps us inshallah in enhancing the impact of using the extended examples. Alright, now we move on to the next supporting material, which we call as statistics. What is statistics? Okay, it is a numerical data, and statistics are the second major kind of supporting material other than example. So when we used properly, statistics are an effective way to support our ideas. Okay. This is the example of the usage of statistics in strengthening ideas. We want to show, okay, maybe Ketua Pengarah Kesihatan Malaysia, Datuk Hisham, okay, when he and his team try to show the daily condition of pandemic COVID-19 in Malaysia, so they use statistics. Okay, statistics is so powerful in terms of showing the reality. For instance, here the new case as of 16 June, okay, yesterday, the new cases are around 11. Okay, the cumulative cases are peak into 8,505 and so on. So this kind of statistics, okay, as what been mentioned here, if we use it properly, it will be a very powerful and effective way in supporting the idea of COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, next. Because statistics can be easily manipulated and distorted, because it is related with numerical ideas here, isn't it? 11, 8,000, 600, 333, and so on. So these statistics, these measures or these numbers can be easily manipulated. So because it could be easily manipulated and distorted, diganggu, speakers should evaluate their statistics carefully. Number one, speakers need to make sure their statistics are representative of what they claim to measure. So, for example, I'm going to look into how many of the students in my class, in my lecture, like this public speaking subject. So I'm only using my questions, okay, among TAB1, not TAB2 or TAB3. So it is not what we call as representative enough, because I asked only TAB1. For example, TAB1 said that they dislike this subject. So can I say that all counselling students, okay, year 3 or year 2 or year 1 dislike my class or my subject because of the representative from TAB1? No. So make sure that the statistics are representative of what the public speaker claim to measure. Number 2, speakers need to understand the differences among basic statistical measures. For example, the mean, purata, median, penengah, and the mode, the most occurrence of a data. So you need to learn statistics, at least the basic ones, in order to understand the differences among the data of your statistics. Number 3, speakers need to determine whether their statistics come from reliable sources. For example, if Datuk Hisham, the Ketua Pengarah of Kementerian Kesihatan, using unreliable statistical measures or results here, so these statistics of new cases, cumulative cases, is not reliable. Apa itu reliable? Tak boleh diharap, right? Tak boleh dipercayai. So make sure that we could give answers, okay, to questions, and these 3 statements are the answers to several questions of representativeness, understandability, alright, and then number 3, the reliability issues. Okay, Let us look into one by one lah in the next slides. Okay, these are the several basic statistical measures, okay, that you as a public speaker need to have the skills lah, the statistical skills. Okay, apa itu mode? Okay, the mode is the value that appears most often in a set of data. Kan, contohnya for example in your tutorial group, right? For example in your tutorial group, I ask you, okay, how many times you eat in one day. So there are maybe 17 or 20 of you. Then among those 20, okay, some of you will say that you only eat twice a day. Some of you said that you eat 3 times a day, and some of you said that you eat 5 times a day. So the occurrence of the value which is most often appear among you, we call it as mode. For example, 20 of you, among the 20 of you in tutorial group, okay, maybe 6 of you said that you eat only once. So that's the most, 16 of you said that you are eating only twice. So this is what we call as the mode of the data, which appears most often in a set of data. And then what is range? The difference between the lowest value and the highest value. How many times that you eat in a day? So I only eat once, so that is the lowest value. And I eat 8 times a day, so that's the highest value. So 8 minus 1, so range of the data is 7. Okay, 8 as the most or the maximum number of eating in a day, minus 1, the lowest value in that set. Okay, only eat once a day, so 8 minus 1, this is range. Okay, and then median, the middle number in a list of number ordered from lowest to highest. Okay, we will look into the example. And then mean is pro rata. Okay, the total of all the values divided by the number of values. So this is the meaning of mean. Okay, average value of a group of numbers. I put some examples here so you can have a look. Okay, there are 7 values: 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 5 plus 7 plus 8. So there are 7 values there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the total, okay, of the value we divide it by, is divided, okay, by the total of number. Alright, so that is mean, pro rata. What about median? Median is middle figure in group once figures are ordered highest to lowest. Okay, we look into this example. The upper numbers, okay, the upper line of numbers, okay, it is not in order. 5, 13, 9, 7, 1, okay. This is, for example, the times that you watch your handset every day. So one of you said that you browse your handset 5 times in one day. Some of you said that you browse 13 times, 9, 7, 1, and so on. So we put it in ascending order from the smallest to the highest value. Okay, so 1, 2, 5, 7, 9, 9, 9, 11, 13. So the median there is 9 because there are 4 numbers before that and another 4 numbers after that. Okay, the pink one. Okay, how we want to find mode here? Which one is mode number here? So mode number here is 9 as well because the occurrence of 9s are in three times. Okay, so the mode is 9. What about the mean, median, mean? Okay, what about mean there? So we calculate. Okay, we accumulate all the numbers there, 1 plus 2 plus 5 until plus 13, and then we divide it with 9 values because there are 9 values there, 1, 2, 5, 7, 9, 9, 9, 11, 13. So there are 9 values there. So the numbers, okay, we add all the numbers and then we divide to the occurrence of value. So we get what we call as mean. Okay, mean value there. And then mode, as what I told you just now, number occurring most frequently in a group. Okay, for example, there the mode is 5 because the occurrence of 5 are 3 times, while the occurrence of number 4 twice and only once for number 2. So this is what we call as mode. What about range? Range is the difference between the lowest value and the highest value of a set of data. This is what I told you just now. So the range there is 16. Okay, for example, ages of students, the range are 16 years old minus 13 years old. The highest minus lowest. So we get the range of 3. Okay, so I hope you understand the conception of simple statistics here: mean, median, mode, and range. Okay, and you need to understand that these statistical outcomes, or these statistical measures helps in terms of giving a strength in our speech. Okay, so according to Lucas, there are several tips for statistics. We use statistics to quantify ideas, to show that the ideas can be quantifiable. We can count it. We use it sparingly. Okay, we use statistics sparingly with our ideas. For example, we said that it is good to have our meals 3 times a day. Then why? Because having 3 times a day's meal means it is giving us the strength, all the carbohydrate, the protein that we need, okay, for us to do things, for us to think, for us to do our activities and so on. So this is what we call as we use it sparingly. Okay, we use statistics with examples, we use statistics with facts and figures and so on. And then we identify sources of the statistics. We want to make sure that the statistics are reliable, can be trusted, and so on. And then we explain statistics thoroughly, okay, secara mendalam, one by one. Okay, or we are not having one by one, but we make sure that the ideas through statistics being explained overall. Okay, and then we use what we call as round off and use visual aids if needed and so on. So I hope that you can read by yourself, okay, about the tips for statistics in Lucas' book. Okay, the third kind of supporting material, we call it as testimony. What is testimony? It is testimony are quotations or paraphrases a public speaker used in supporting point. Testimony can be highly effective when used in a speech. Okay, it's a kind of having evidence, okay, through someone else's ideas and so on. Okay, let us look into the example. Number 1, we call it as expert testimony. We refer the ideas from experts. Okay, so expert testimony comes from people who are acknowledged authorities in their fields. If a teacher been referred to because of his or her knowledge about something, okay, when they teach in schools and so on, and ustad, the asatiza, okay, been referred because of their religious ideas. Doctor been referred because of their capability and knowledge in medical things and so on. So these are the 3 figures that we know. Okay, for instance, kita ada siapa ni, Dr. Zulkifli, okay, in religious matter, okay, Menteri Agama. And then we have Datuk Isham there, that can be expert, okay, in terms of COVID-19 or any kind of things that related to health. And then we have who over there, cooks and recipes. I'm pretty sure that most of you knows him, okay. He's Datuk Ismail, okay, one of the best chefs in Malaysia. So this is what we call as the expert testimony. We take their speeches, we take their ideas, their writings, okay, in our speech to have it as what we call as expert testimony. And then the next testimony, we call it as peer testimony. Gambar ni tak senonoh sikit Alright, what is peer testimony? It might not come from this kind of people, expert, no. But peer testimony is also helpful because it comes from ordinary people, but with first-hand experience or insight. For example, when we want to talk about delicacy and differences in the tastes of durian, so you might want to ask me, okay, because I had tasted different kind of or different clusters or different species of durian. I have eaten Raja Kunyit. I ate D2, D88, Musang King, durian kampung, durian segamat, durian balik pulau, and so on. So if you want to know about the differences of the taste of durian, the texture, the prices, and so on, you might want to have what we call as peer testimony. Okay, ordinary people, but they have the first-hand experience or they have the first-hand insight. Okay. Okay, next, we talk about quotation. Okay, so there are several quotes, okay, that we can use in terms of strengthening testimony, strengthening our supporting materials. For example, direct quote. Testimony presented word for word. Okay, we can take maybe direct quote from Imam. Okay, we can take direct quote from doctor, and so on. Okay, and then out of context quote. This is what we call as a distorting statement by removing several words, several phrases around a direct quote. Okay, and then the third category of quotation can be paraphrasing. What is paraphrasing? Paraphrase, we restate sources, ideas in our own words. Okay, for example, we have some proverbs like macam kacang, bagai kacang lupakan kulit. Okay, we might want to paraphrase it. Okay, kita ubah sikit macam laki lupakan bini, kan, macam apa, and so on. So this is the differences of quotations lah. Alright, kita tengok contoh. Direct quote. Direct quote can be like this lah. Rasulullah SAW once said, okay, narrated by Al-Jami, whoever is easygoing, easy to deal with, and kind-hearted, Allah will forbid the fire for him. MashaAllah. So this is what we call as direct quote. Direct quote. We take word by word of Rasulullah SAW saying. The next one is out of context quote. It can be a metaphor, kan? It can be something not really concrete. Okay, because we took apa yang dia cakap kat sini, we distort statement by removing words, okay, phrases around it. For example, here, okay, out of context quote. I want to show the beauty, the capability of this folding bike, for example. Okay, here I put blues blue. Okay, out of context, blues blue, apa tu blues blue? But when we relate the words there with the figure, with the photo, so we understand that blues blue is referred to the bicycle, and might be the background of the bicycle, which is IKEA. Blues blue. So this is out of context, but this is a kind of metaphor. This is a kind of supporting material that we use in strengthening our speech. And then paraphrase. Okay, so paraphrase apa? Okay, I took an example here to show you what is paraphrase. P, we put the text in our own words. Okay, we change the words. Okay, maybe the saying of Rasulullah, we explain in our own words. So that's P. A, we avoid copying the text 100%. Okay, that's what we call as paraphrase. Okay, and 3, we rearrange similar text. You might want to put the text, if it is a predicate, we put it as subject. The subject, we put it as predicate. Ingat kan, predikat dan subject kan dalam bahasa Melayu. Okay, and then A, ask ourselves. if we included all the important points. This is what we call as paraphrase. Okay, we took the idea of a saying, and then we use our own word to explain the saying. Plus minus about the same idea. Okay, so this is what we call as paraphrase. Okay, so there are several tips for using testimony. Okay, among others are quote or paraphrase accurately. Make sure that we are not misleading, okay, the idea in the real testimony. So we quote or we paraphrase the what ideas accurately. And then we must make sure that we use qualified sources of testimony. We want to talk about COVID-19, we take it from any politicians who have no background of health, okay, health measure and so on. So kita ambil bomoh contohnya, ataupun politician yang saying things not using brains, for example. So this is what we call as unqualified sources. So make sure that we use testimony with qualified sources. And then we use unbiased sources. Unbiased in terms of religions, and unbiased in terms of politics, and so on. And then the last one, we identify sources. And this is related to what we call as qualified sources. Okay, we identify sources to make sure that it is reliable and valid. For example, we take ideas or we take testimony from the Ministry of Health. That is far reliable compared to we take the idea from Malaysia Kini, for example, and so on. So we need to make sure that the sources can be identified and it is qualified enough. Okay, not from any kind of sources, and we just take it simply as our testimony. Alright, so when we want to cite sources orally, okay, as speakers, we need to identify orally the sources of our supporting materials. Unlike written citations, oral citations do not follow a standard format. For example, when you are having your assignment, okay, every time you have your assignment completed, you must make sure that you have the references list at the end of the assignment, isn't it? So that's what we call as written citations. In your assignment, okay, in text writing, for example. So when you put in some sources, you must make sure that you cite the sources carefully. Okay, we use author-date system, we use footnote, endnote, and so on. So this is the example of written citations. So standard, okay, it has its own format. But when you have your oral citations, it does not follow a standard format actually. But make sure that, number one, the content of an oral citation, you must make sure that it depends on the topic, depends on the audience, and also your own claim as the speaker, and the kind of supporting material being used. And number two, most citations will include some combination of the document title, the author or sponsoring organization, the author's qualification, and the date on which the document was published. So regardless of which elements are included, oral citations should be integrated smoothly into your speech. So samples of oral citations, oral source citation, can be looked from page 155 in Lucas' book. Okay, please refer to figure 8.2. Lucas had put some samples of oral source citations there. Okay, the categories of books, newspaper, magazine, organization, interview, website, or from TV program, or from journal articles. So these are the samples that have been shown by Lucas, which show oral source citation correctly, and the correct way of oral source citation. I hope that you can read it nicely, and you can have your own search in Google, okay, to understand how you want to have a good oral source citation like what Lucas had in his textbook. Okay, so I think that's all for now, and I hope that you can understand whatever I had shared with you. So to conclude, okay, the idea in this particular presentation or this particular online lecture, let us look into the learning outcome, okay, at the very beginning of our slides here, okay. So this topic is about supporting your ideas when you want to start your speech, okay. So after reading the chapter, okay, after we had already listened to whatever I shared with you just now, so I hope that you now can explain why a speaker needs strong supporting materials, and then how speakers can distinguish among extended, brief, and hypothetical examples, and when to use it, and then explain how to use examples effectively in a speech. I have mentioned it just now. And then we need to identify several questions for judging the reliability of statistics. And then I hope that you can discuss how to use statistics effectively in a speech by having the mode, median, mean, range, and so on. And then I hope that you can differentiate between peer testimony and expert testimony, and explain the proper use of testimony in a speech. Aku lu qauli haza. Saya ingat itu sahaja setakat ini. Semoga apa yang saya share ini, okay, will benefit you insyaAllah on supporting your ideas in your speech. Wallahu a'lam bisawab. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.